How did Will Smith respond to selective outrage? Are the Kardashians banned from the Met Gala? And why was Julia Fox's family arrested? Stick with me because I'll be answering all these questions in this video. Okay, so Will Smith has now responded to everything that Chris Rock said about him in his new Netflix special Selective Outrage. As you can pretty much guess, he did not take it well. As well as close to the star told Entertainment Tonight, Will is embarrassed and hurt by what Chris said about him and his family. He didn't watch it, but he had people tell him what was said everywhere when you look online and on social media. So Will and Jada have seen comments about it. Apparently he thinks the special was distasteful and the insults that Chris threw at Jada were very below the belt. He's also upset that Netflix even gave him the platform to share these messages in the first place. According to The Insider, Will just wants him to move on so that he and everyone else can too. He felt terrible for so long about what happened at the Oscars. He's tried unsuccessfully to make amends in the best way he could. He apologized. He's worked on himself and he got banned from attending the Academy Awards for the next 10 years. He feels like that's enough and he would like Chris to finally move on. A lot of people would agree with that last part given that Chris is rehashing the event almost 1 year after it happened. At first it seemed like he was going to take the high road and not add any fuel to the fire. When he mentioned the incident in his other stand-up shows, he was always very guarded. At one of his shows he said, "Don't expect me to talk about the BS. I'll talk about it at some point on Netflix." And that's exactly what he did. He meticulously waited 1 whole year to speak about it so he could properly cash out on the drama, which is something you really have to give him credit for. It turns out that selective outrage was totally worth the wait. Chris not only talked about the incident, but he unleashed months and months of pent-up rage against Will Smith and his wife. It's clearly something he's been holding in ever since he got slapped across the face on live television. He put Will and Jada's relationship on blast and said, "Everybody knows what happened. His wife was effing her son's friend." He pointed out that everyone in Hollywood talks smack about their open relationship, and Will became a laughingstock, but he waited to reassert his masculinity until he could attack a smaller, weaker man. Quote, "She hurt him way more than he hurt me. Who did he hit? Me, someone he knew he could beat. Will Smith is significantly bigger than me. Will Smith does movies with his shirt off. You've never seen me do movies with my shirt off. If I'm in a movie getting open heart surgery, I've still got a sweater." But Chris also asserted that he's not a victim. He said, "You'll never see me on Oprah or Gayle crying. You will never see it, never going to happen." Unlike Will Smith, he's avoided all the usual platforms where celebrities often go to air their feelings. He's turned down countless interviews with media outlets that would have been dying to have him on. Since the events of that night, he said people have asked him why he didn't hit back. In response, he said, "Because I got parents. You know what my parents taught me? Don't fight in front of white people." But a lot of his criticism clearly fell on Jada. He claimed that she was the one who started this whole incident with her entanglement nonsense. Now it seems like the actress is also breaking her silence on the special. An inside source in her crew spoke to People magazine and said, "Jada has no part in all of this other than being heckled. Chris is obsessed with her and that's been going on for almost 30 years. Look where he chose to film his Netflix special, her hometown of Baltimore." Apparently she was shocked at how many times he used the B word when referring to her, which a lot of people would agree was excessive. At one point in the show, Chris insisted that Jada pressured him to quit his job as host of the Oscars, all because Will was snubbed from the Best Actor category. The source hit back at that idea and said, "Back in 2016, she helped start a movement with the Academy Awards by questioning why there are so few black members. And Chris took it to this." Ironically, Will would actually go on to win in that category 6 years later for King Richard. But you might be wondering, how did everyone else react to the stand-up? Are most people still siding with Chris, or is it the other way around now? Leslie Jones voiced her support for him and wrote, "Did y'all forget he got slapped in front of the world? His kids, his mama, his peers, everyone. I wonder how y'all would have handled that. And he is a comedian, this is his way of expressing it. If he sang, he would write a song, because it's a painful thing that happened. Y'all would act like you would be righteous. You are hypocrites. Shut the F up and go sit down." But a lot of people also took issue with his jokes, like the Oscars So White creator April Rain. She said, "Lots of folks are waiting to see if Chris would say Jada's name during Chris Rock Live. He didn't, but he did call her a B, and that seems just as bad, if not worse, to me." April does make a good point in terms of the language that he used to describe Jada. Although she might have been the villain in his story, it doesn't necessarily mean that she should have been attacked on stage in that exact way. So do you think selective outrage went too far or not far enough? Please let me know in the comments below. Moving on, are the Kardashians actually banned from the Met Gala? As this year's Met Gala rolls around, people are dying to find out who will be attending, because it's been reported that the editor-in-chief of Vogue, Anna Wintour, is seriously cracking down on the guest list. Since 1995, Anna has decided who makes the guest list for the gala, which is held annually on the first Monday in May and helps fundraise for the Metropolitan Museum of Art's Costume Institute. For years, the Kardashians have been invited and are well known for not disappointing in the wardrobe department. But according to one source who spoke to Page 6, none of them will actually be invited this time around, despite the fact that all 5 of the sisters went together last year. This is pretty shocking if it turns out to be true. Khloe has previously shut down rumors of not being invited to the gala. In 2019, she took to Twitter and responded to a fan who suggested that she might have gotten snubbed. She said it's absolutely not true. Then during last year's series, The Kardashians on Disney+, she revealed that she had turned down invitations in the past because of her anxiety of appearing on red carpets. Kim had a pretty similar experience the very first time she attended the Met Gala in 2013. She said she actually cried after the event because she didn't know anyone and she was sure that no one actually wanted her there. The thing is, she had been trying to score an invite for years, but the fashion world did not accept her, and when that happens, there's no amount of money or fame that can help you. This year, we already know that the event will honor the late Karl Lagerfeld, the German fashion designer, creative director, artist, and photographer. Apart from being a fashion legend, he was also known as someone who tells it like it is, even if that brought about controversy. In 2019, after Kim was robbed in her hotel room in Paris, Lagerfeld was one of the first people to criticize her. He spoke to The Telegraph and said, "I don't know why she was in a hotel with no security. If you're that famous and you put on all your jewelry on the internet, then you go to a hotel where no one can come near the room. You cannot display your wealth and then be surprised that some people want to share it with you." Despite his harsh comments on what would have been a very traumatic experience for her, Kim still remembered him fondly when he passed away in 2019 at the age of 85. She posted photos of them on Instagram and wrote, "We lost a true legend. You were such an inspiration to the world. You shot my first fashion shoot and I was so nervous to work with such an icon. I am beyond honored to have met you and had the opportunity to work with you. You are so loved and will be so missed." But of course, not everyone was happy with the way that she went about that, considering that most of the photos Kim posted were more like modeling photo shoots, and she neglected to mention Karl Lagerfeld's name in the caption. Even though she does have a solid history with the designer, her sister Kendall actually has an even stronger case to score an invite. Karl put her on the Chanel runway several times, and she even closed his fall 2015 show in a bridal suit. So it's possible that Kim will be the only one who won't get chosen to attend this year, and that might also have something to do with her taste in historical dresses. Although she's used to making questionable fashion choices, she sank to a new low when she decided to wear the famous Marilyn dress that was worn by Marilyn Monroe herself while she was singing Happy Birthday to President Kennedy in 1962. The reason why people were so enraged by this was because it didn't actually fit her. The dress was tailored to specifically fit Marilyn at the time, so in order for Kim to fit in the dress, she went on a strict diet and forced herself into the gown. But of course, she did end up damaging the dress, simply because her proportions just didn't work. So most people don't want to see her attempt something like that ever again. In fact, I think there needs to be some kind of petition to keep Kim away from such culturally significant historical clothing. Let me know if you agree. And now some pretty shocking news concerning Julia Fox. On Wednesday, her dad and her brother were taken away in handcuffs after police raided their apartment. What they found sounds like something straight out of Breaking Bad. They came across multiple weapons like ghost firearms, which are unserialized and untraceable, but they also found materials used to manufacture narcotics, so a literal lab to make you know what. What's even more disturbing is that police discovered several chemicals that are used to make explosives, like chloroform and formaldehyde. This was very scary stuff. According to Page 6, they also found pressure cookers, thousands of dollars worth of wine bottles, 3D printers, and unidentified pills. As a result, Christopher and Thomas Fox were both taken into custody. A spokesperson for the NYPD confirmed the arrest and said that the incident is believed to be contained. But we do know that the two of them don't have a criminal history prior to this incident. So how is Julia Fox reacting? She's said to be stunned and heartbroken by the news. Friends of the star have spoken to Page 6 and revealed that she's completely shocked by the arrest, which I'm sure anyone would be if they were in her position. At the time of the raid, Julia was out of town and she is not believed to have known about her family's alleged crimes. The inside source said that Julia thinks her brother Chris is brilliant, but after their difficult childhood, she said that he struggled to believe in himself enough to put his mind to use. Meanwhile, she found a creative outlet in things like fashion. The 33-year-old actress has talked a lot about growing up in the city with her single dad and brother, even though she didn't really see them very often. She said, "I grew up uptown mostly. We moved around a lot. It was kind of unstable. We were homeless at one point. I actually have lived in almost every single neighborhood. Harlem, Chelsea, everywhere. I moved downtown when I was 17 and I haven't left. When speaking about her brother, she said, "He's like a mad scientist recluse. He builds 3D printers for fun." The New York Post reported that her relatives also described him as a mad scientist type who liked to do all sorts of experiments, but they insisted that he was a gentle guy who wouldn't hurt a fly. Well, that might very well be the case, but it doesn't explain what all those illegal materials were doing in his apartment. As of now, he's facing multiple charges, including criminal possession of a controlled substance, manufacture of a rapid-fire modified device, manufacture of a dangerous instrument, and criminal possession of a weapon. Although the arrest came as a shock to Julia, she's likely waiting for the criminal proceedings to take place before she speaks out. So in the meantime, we'll just have to wait for more developments in this crazy story. What do you guys think about this video? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one.